This is Jackson Wells in 2016 attempting the world's first quad cork on skis, where he does 4 off-axis flips in the air before landing. While this looks insane, after he did it, a lot of people didn't approve and said it wasn't a quad. So let's take a look at the controversial history of the quad cork and why adding one more flip is almost impossible. All big tricks with multiple flips in skiing can usually be broken down into a series of single flips that when added together make the full trick. All quads that have been done today use this trick in them, the Cork 360. You can think of it as an off-axis backflip where instead of flipping straight backwards, you spin 360 degrees diagonally around this axis, making it count as one flip and one full spin. The problem with this trick is that depending on how it's set and when you tuck, sometimes it doesn't appear as inverted as others. For example, this more recent quad by Matej's sponsor.
Easy to tell the difference. Switch, quadruple.
Where the second and third flips aren't very inverted at all, instead looking like upright 360s. So in Jackson Wells' case, some are hesitant to call it the world's first quad because his last Cork 3 wasn't inverted enough. Andre Rigetli was next to do the quad cork. While Jackson Wells did his in September 2016, Andre was the next person to land one in March 2017. Well, we can see that his, while being much cleaner, it's also different. Instead of doing a switch quad 16, Andre instead does a cork 7 to a triple 1080, doing another 180 than Wells, and doing a quad 1800. But we can see 4 clear flips in Andre's, and for that reason, a lot of people think this one is the world's first quad instead of Wells's. But let me know what you think. Fabian Bosch was the next person to land the quad cork, and his would also be different. Instead of doing a quad 1800 like Andre, he pulled the last cork to 540, doing a quad 1980. It's worth mentioning that Andre would also come back and clean up Bosch's 1980 a few months later. Huge respect for doing 2 different quads when only 2 other people had only done one. But we wouldn't see another quad for a year and a half until Matej's sponsor at 16 will come up and clean Wells' quad, doing the same switch quad 1620, but this time with 4 undeniable flips. Kim Gubster would follow close behind, also doing a switch quad 16 in February 2021. These were the first 5 to attempt a quad cork, and since then skiers are landing more quads every year. But that raises the question, is a QUINT cork possible? As an experiment, I timed a bunch of these quads, and of the fastest ones, took the time with the second and third flips, averaged them together and added them to the full time to get an estimated air time the QUINT cork would need. Most skiers pull the quad around in a little over 2.8 seconds, and by adding another flip, we get to 3.5 seconds exactly. All of these quads were pretty much sent to the bottom of the landing on a 70-foot jump, and after timing a bunch of air time on different jumps, I never found a legit jump big enough. The X Games big air jump is too small. No 9's jump features are big enough. Chad's gap is too small. Even the giant Candide invitational jump isn't big enough. Although maybe if he sent it to the bottom of the landing it might have made the time. The only jumps I found that were big enough were the 9's giant hip, which doesn't really count as tossing a quint off it isn't really possible. And this. The Malaysia jump by 74 Yordi, believe it or not. While yes, Yordi did break one of his vertebrae doing this, theoretically if someone wanted to launch off there, they would have the time to do a quint. On a side note, quint backflip has never been done, and a quad takes pretty much the same amount of time as a quad cork. I think that if we were to see a quint, it would be adding another cork 3 onto the switch quad 1620, because it seems like the switch cork 5 at the beginning sets the fastest rotation as opposed to the cork 7, and there would have to be a much bigger jump with a way steeper landing than the XL jumps we have now. I do think it's possible, but probably not for a while. I don't think skiers are quite ready for that airtime yet. However, if the sport keeps progressing at the rate it's been in the last few years, I do think we could see it sooner than we expect. Do you guys think it's possible? And if so, in how long?